All right, everybody, welcome to our newest episode of Building the Book. It's our segment where we discuss all things sales, building your book of business across all industries, right? But today we're actually going to stay within insurance. I have my uncle slash boss slash owner of JAG Insurance, Luis, here with us. Luis.
Mentor. I'll take that as well.
The list goes on, man, but thanks for hopping in the segment. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's cool. I mean, obviously we love talking about insurance, right?
Yeah.
And sales. So, I mean, it's cool that you're doing this. Now, I don't know if you want to, I'm used to leading. You want to kind of throw me the questions and vice versa. I'll take a step back.
I mean, we'll just kind of go with the flow. For our audience, we kind of both have a bit of an interesting story. So you got me into insurance in the beginning. And as far as building the book goes, I mean, this is my second book of business I've been building. I've built a book of business as a wholesale broker. And then I kind of started over as an insurance agent with JAG. And I'm in the process of building my book here, where hopefully this will be the last book I have to build. And then you yourself, you started off from the bottom as an agent, and then now you're still building your book as an owner. Right. And it's just, kind of two different journeys, but we're in the same room and we're really still doing the same thing.
I just think, insurance specific, and it's interesting you brought up before we got on camera, building your book, it's across every different industry, right? Yeah. Book of business. We could just talk about our personal experiences. I think insurance specifically, it's one of those things that you have to continue to evolve how you're building your book, how you're maintaining your book, probably every 18 to 24 months.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everyone gets into this business and assumes they're just going to hit home runs. But I would tell anybody, in order to start to build your book in the insurance business, you need to get reps.
Yeah.
That's when you need to attack everything and everybody, right? That's where you get those, whether it's a small account, you got to become a volume person. I think in order to be, you got to be a generalist first and get reps in, because that's how you develop, your skill initially as you get into this business.
Yeah, 100%. And, coming from underwriting and then being where I'm at, insurance is very different than other industries where you can learn through YouTube or from books or for talking to people, because there's so many little things that can happen on any account that the only way for you to have the foresight to be able to actually deal with it and work the account on the fly and foresee the problems and make it happen is by having done it a bunch of times.
It's experience. Yeah. I mean, like anything in life, right? But it's funny how every meeting you went to, every rejection that you've had to kind of overcome, right? Any type of curveball, because every business is unique in what they're doing. You continue to grow. I mean, being 16 years in the business, I'm still growing as an agent. But everything I know, I've done it through putting myself out there and being on the front lines.
Yeah.
Guys, if you sit in the back here, and you kind of don't put your foot in the water or, kind of get your feet kind of going, you're never going to grow as an agent.
Exactly. You have to kind of take that scary leap, and you compare it to things like real estate or financial services or loan officers or whatever you have. The product is pretty much the product. You're selling a house, and they tend to be very specialized. But most insurance agents, at least on the commercial side like us, we have to do so many different types of business, and they're all so different. You have restaurants, contractors, manufacturers, attorneys' offices, freight forwarders, cargo.
Now tech companies coming out of nowhere, right?
Cyber, transportation. Yeah. And it's an unlimited amount of things that you're expected to be the expert on going in day one. And the only way you can be that expert is by having done it a bunch of times.
Right. No, 100%.
So you have to just do it a bunch of times and find ways to get all these different types of opportunities.
And going back to it, I think that's where you have to become a generalist in the beginning. Yeah. Right. Get your feet wet, get those reps in multiple industries. So as you kind of develop and you kind of become, quote unquote, let's call it an expert in certain classifications of business, that's where I think the next evolution of building your book starts to become kind of like that next step, right? Where you kind of focus on certain things you feel you're best at. Maybe you can identify comfort level, you can identify product knowledge, and set yourself apart. But you got to kind of generalist to become an expert, right? Yeah. That's kind of the way to go.
Yeah. And so, and that's like the biggest thing, but that's almost like stage 2. So when you're building your book in insurance, you're an agent. One, it's how do I even get anyone to give me a chance on their insurance? No, much less have any control of what I can get. And then once you start to master that, you learn how to target specific classes. So it's almost like what you said earlier, every 18 to 24 months, you have to adapt and change the way you build your book. So it's like your first couple years, it's just, I need to find opportunities.
You got to sell.
Opportunities.
No, you got to sell.
Yeah.
And then you realize you're going to year 3. Not only you're selling, but you're servicing. So now the bigger opportunities you kind of want to chase. Where is that? The famous opportunity costs, right? Of servicing the accounts that are bringing me, basically taking the time away from me to continue to prospect. And I think that's one of the biggest things, insurance specific, is that you develop so many skills early on because you don't have to service your renewal book, right?
Yeah.
Or maintain relationships. It's all about prospecting. So that volume starts to pick up, then you realize, and you won't even notice it, right? It'll take like 2 months, 60 days.
Yeah.
Things get slow, and you realize, hey, what happened? My new business growth has slowed down. It's because you stopped doing those little things as far as prospecting goes by servicing your accounts. So you kind of realize, like, what's that evolution, right? And a lot of people, I think, get stuck in this industry. You'll get to year 3 and 5, and all of a sudden you realize, I haven't grown that 20, 25 expected growth, percentage-wise. Why? Because you've almost developed the book of business, and now you're on a treadmill.
Yeah.
You haven't developed those skills to navigate, whether it's the upfront expectations with clients. Early on, you become an animal, right?
Yeah.
Basically, you start insurance day one, your only option is to pick up the phone and ask.
Yeah.
That's your skill. Pick up and ask, whatever it is, and then it starts to evolve, and then you got to realize, is this client, as far as a good fit for my specific book and my specific expertise?
Yeah. It becomes a crazy juggling act where you have to balance everything. So in the beginning, it's like, okay, all my stress is getting business in the door and do anything for any account. It's, oh, you want me to call your property manager to get a copy of this? And then I'll call the lender and get a copy of that, and call the realtor and get a copy of that.
The extra steps that you did before start to become basically holding you back.
Yeah, and you roll out the red carpet for people, and then it's like a year goes by and you just can't do that anymore.
I remember starting, I used to do home visits. I'd literally go to your house and sell you a homeowner's policy.
Yeah.
And that's driving around town, 45 minutes in traffic in South Florida.
Yeah.
And getting there, where now it's really something you could do in 5-10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
If you're focusing on personal lines. But those home visits, and talk about the other evolution, is obviously we do this because we're building a book. Residual income is the biggest reason why we're in this business.
Yeah.
Right? It's why we chose this. Best business in the world, off the record, right? I don't think it's a secret anymore. But then it becomes like, how do I keep that relationship? How do I keep those renewals? But having them understand the way I operated 3 years ago now has to change.
Yeah.
Right. And I've had clients tell me, hey, I'm doing business with you, which is great. That's how you're successful. You brand yourself. Mm-hmm. But then it gets to the point where I don't have the bandwidth as an insurance agent to go to people's homes, right?
Yeah.
To spend an hour and a half to have a coffee and then connect. So how do you kind of transfer those connections from an initial sale, but then maintain those relationships at another level in the next 5 to 7 years? That's the biggest challenge of building your book in insurance.
Yeah.
By far. And I've had people tell me, hey, I'm, in Spanish we say, mal acostumbrado. You know? I'm spoiled because of you, so now you got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge that people get to that 5-7 year mark, right? When you start to see like that really big sustainable growth, maintaining it is going to be every insurance agent's challenge.
Yeah. And you're in the industry for any amount of time, and you run into a lot of people that are stuck. That are basically at a point where my renewal accounts, my renewals, my servicing, this and that. When's the last time you've made a sales call and gone out to try and bring in a new major client? And it's like, I don't have time. I can't.
Okay, I'm focusing on, again, made the relationship, but the renewal.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you maintain a certain lifestyle and a certain expectation of your commission check.
Yeah.
That you're banking on that, right? But instead of realizing, like, and again, that's that balancing act. If you're not really aware that you're stuck on that treadmill, you got to be very conscious of doing those little things. And that's why, I credit you a lot, because not only are you a tremendous salesperson, but you've also brought this mindset, and you brought it to me. It's a constant reminder that being in sales and being in commission only, you got to be actually more organized than anybody else, because the ebbs and flows and the days of the phone call, kind of basically sets you in different paths. But are you Monday morning setting yourself up to prospect, right? Are you carving out enough time to do everything? Because it's hard. Those little things you do to prospect and drop new business, you stop doing it, the wall goes dry. People start to hit the panic mode.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what it is. It's organization, it's time management. What's unique about insurance is that all your prior successes and wins can actually be what's slowing you down from growing if you don't find a way to kind of develop the systems to keep it in check, to have your team operating efficiently, to have good communication across the board as far as your expectations. And, you have to train your clients to reach out to your account executive for little things, not call you every time and wait for you to get back to them and call them.
Well, think about this, right? We through growth, and again, this is unexpected growth, expected growth if you're being in sales, but what's one of your biggest sales pitches to clients? When's the last time you talked to your agent?
Yeah.
Right? Forgot about you. He's kind of coasting it, he or she. Are you kind of in cruise control? Have you had that review? I mean, your biggest sales tool that we do is also could be a perceived, right? You got to be careful. That's not a weakness on your book of business, right?
Yeah.
And not going back to being an organization. It's, again, we can sit here and say all these different things, but I think the biggest trap that happens as an insurance agent is that this industry does, basically promote laziness.
Yeah.
In a sense, right? If I can work the same, if I can work less on an account and then make the same amount of money, I think as your human nature kind of set in. You can hey, don't worry about it. It's fine. Why wouldn't I? Yeah. Why wouldn't I? Right? I mean, and anybody would do it. So someone's going to say, I would never do it. Do this for 4 or 5 years. You're going to figure it out. You're going to figure out a strategy, but you got to be able to maintain that and then be aware and be the most organized in the process of that book. Be aware that you're going to continue to evolve every 24 months.
Yeah, exactly. And forcing that evolution and giving yourself the time to evolve and find the opportunities. So, I mean, it's interesting because you cover at first, you have to become the generalist. You have to get in any opportunity you can, sell everyone you can, try to write everything and just build your experience, build your reps so that you even have a shot at competing on big accounts
and
or
some
good
income.
accounts and income and surviving.
But you got to pay some bills.
Yeah, because most insurance agents are commission only, or at least a big commission component. So you need to sell. You have no option. And then as you start to get into the middle point of building your book, years 3, 4, 5, it becomes the juggling act and figuring out how to free up your time to bring in new business and how to make sure you set the right expectations and have the right type of clientele that allows you to thrive. You're going from surviving to kind of thriving, and then you start to get the big jumps. I feel like years 3 to 5, a majority of people never grow out of that stage.
100%.
They stay trapped by their renewals. They make good money, but it's comfortable to the point where they don't need to get uncomfortable anymore.
Well, and I think that's the biggest landmine is forgetting that getting uncomfortable got you to a certain point.
Yeah.
Don't take that foot off the gas.
And then, so once you get out of there, years 7, 8, 9, 10, I mean, that seems like if you can figure out that big organizational jump, build a good team under yourself, start bringing in consistently bigger deals, that's when this is actually becoming the greatest career.
Correct.
So there's a lot of stuff that goes into building an insurance book.
That's the end of the rainbow, right? The pot of gold.
That's the pot of gold. But the temptation to just take it easy is right before you get there. That's kind of crazy about insurance. But looks like we had a good amount of time on the book. So I think my biggest takeaway I've learned from insurance and watching a lot of people start is very good, but just you have to pay your dues up front. You have to do a lot of stuff that doesn't make you a lot of money. Your house visits, writing accounts you don't want to write, taking way too many extra steps to bring on ungrateful clients in the beginning. But you need the reps, you need the experience, you need to get tough as far as the rejection. And then after that, it becomes, in my opinion, the greatest career in the world.